Aloha, welcome to Let Love Guide channel. My name is Matera, also known as Graziella. My intention with this channel is to bring inspiration, to bring my contemplations, my life experiences, and how I have been living life. The thought that came was dealing with life, like, we are getting over that part, right? So that's my intention here, and I've been having this desire to share my message, my contribution to the world since I can remember. I'm blessed to have friends since I was like 9 years old still, that we exchange messages once in a while, and since then I have friends that mention that even as a teenager, how I saw things and explained things would help them. And I think that as I'm maturing, I can see that as being true to some people, not to all people. But to some people, I feel that the way that I communicate has a way to allow the mind to rest and the heart to be touched. And for the longest time, even though I knew this, I let my ego get in the way a lot of the times. In the stories of, it's just why you should share, why is this important? Why does it matter? Does it really make a difference? But the more I live and the more I look back in my life, I come to the realization that has been some key people in my life that in their life experiences and how they share their stories that brought inspiration, motivation, more clarity on my path. So I'm able to definitely understand that in this world that we live, this mirroring has great value. And I decided to put aside these doubts that if it has value to be outside and be now open in the world. And I have nothing to lose, because this is just my life and my experience, and my intention is that if there is one person that can benefit, I'm happy to be at service through my life experiences. So that's that. I have been in recent couple of weeks in a deep study with the gene keys. I'm familiar with human design and gene keys for a while, but I finally delved deep, and I'm with a group of friends studying it together, and has been wonderful. And yesterday, as I was sharing my contemplations with the group, and I had rehearsed this moment so many times, which I shared already a couple of times, but not like now. Nothing like the present moment, right? So in this contemplation that I have been under the gene keys of my life's work, the shadow of it is turbulence. And he invites, and there is a lot of information online. You can Google gene keys and enjoy. This shadow of turbulence, I decided to really get present with it, to understand all the amount of turbulence and conflict that I had kind of lived out. And having this opportunity to really go back in time and see my life experiences and see the gifts that these experiences have brought to my life. And thanks to those experiences, how my heart is open, is able to look at, I, I guess I can say anyone, but who knows, I'm human after all. I can look at anyone with tremendous humanity and understanding that there are moments in life that we just make wrong choices. And there is a life path that leads us to act in the fight or flight, to act in anger, to act desperate in turmoil. There is always underlying reasons for our actions, attitudes, And I feel that throughout my life, I had been always in this pursuit of understanding human behavior and understanding spirituality and God and what brings me joy, what brings me peace. And this path of walking this life up to now, I had put in segments, separating things up. And as I choose to look at through the bird's eye, through the eagle view, and look from above, understanding that turbulence is when we face turbulence and we act from whatever we have available in our system, If we have been working ourselves, we have capacity to be present in the moment of turmoil and assess the situation and see what's the best way to handle it. If a situation happens and we are already under stress and our nervous system is already into fight or flight or freeze, we don't know how to deal. And these things accumulate in the body. And it shows up in the most variety of ways. It manifests in our work, in our relationship to our finances, our relationships to our family, friends, all interactions, all not only human relation, but how we interact with our reality as a whole. And in the path that I am understanding all of that and having so many practices and putting myself out there to live experiences that I never imagined in my life that I would be able to live, and going back to the turbulences have brought me a tremendous understanding, one, of what is obvious, the level of courage that I have, the level of capacity to look for alternatives where I can ease my way up to feeling good again. Through my teenagers, 20s, 30s, this was used more as an escapism, not to see and feel, because it was not safe to be in my body necessarily. But as we grow, we use these mechanisms to really find ways out that we can bring to our now present moment and act from this place that has more capacity to hold stress, has capacity to hold love, has capacity to hold everything that life presents. So that's the idea, the foundation that we're going to play. I want to start today telling a little bit about my story, mine and my family. My family, both mom and dad side, come from northeast Brazil, Mossoró, a city well known from the salt. It's a beautiful city, grown a lot since I was there. And they grew up over there. My mom grew up in a farm with my great-grandparents, had 17 children, and 7 of them died at early, those times everything is much more, like sickness from childhood, some things like that. So 10 of them leave. One of them was my grandma, never liked school, never studied, just knew how to write her name with the most beautiful handwriting, Maria José. And I guess she got married early, and she had 4 children. My mom was the first born, and then she had a second daughter that died at the age of 2, and then she had 2 more boys, my uncles, which one already passed away 3 years ago. So my mom grew up in the farm, but wanting to live in the city, going to school in the farm, and so she didn't really go far in school. When she was 14, she met my dad. She was already working. She met my dad at the place that she worked. I don't recall now the details. He was a radio something, and like a speaker or something like that, and she worked packing gifts. And I guess they got along. He was 31 or 32, married with 3 kids. But anyway, I guess he got enchanted by her beauty, her. And they had this little affair for 3 years, which was, from my understanding, very respectful, but still, you know. Then my grandmother found out about it and asked my mom to leave the city. So she found a way. It's a cool story. I'll tell someday. She sent my mom to São Paulo because her father was living there already with another wife. They didn't stay married for long, my grandma and him. But anyway, then my mom goes to Brazil, to São Paulo, like, I don't know, more than a day or more of a bus trip. And at the time, my 13-year-old uncle wanted to go with her. So they both left the city. And they were 17, and she didn't have a place to stay in São Paulo, those times. And then she found her way after a year living there. My father found out where she was, and he went to visit her on Valentine's Day, 76, which was June in Brazil, June 12th. And they made love for the first time. And that day I was conceived. My father went back home. Months later, my mom found out she was pregnant. She tried to hide from him, but I guess because of a friend, he found out. His wife found out. It seems that she wanted maybe to keep me, like, you know, since my mom was young, whatever. I don't recall. I don't even know if that part was, I mean, it was true because my mom told me that. But, like, I know that after that interaction, my mom kind of disappeared for a few years just to make sure that nothing would happen. But yes, this is the scenario that I was brought up. My father was still married throughout my whole life. He passed away in 2017. I saw him when I was 6, and then at 9, and then 17, and the last time when I was 27 years old. Going back. So my mom, pregnant. My grandmother didn't want to have anything to do with that. By that time, my grandmother also had traveled to São Paulo. But as soon as I got back from the hospital, my mom said, like, in 2 weeks she had to go back to working. I think she was by herself. She found a few places that could watch me for a day or two, and she was desperate. And I think from the fact that she was crying a lot at her work, one of her co-workers got touched and invited her mother asked, she offered to take care of me while my mom got to work. So my mom was super happy. I go to this house. My mom goes to visit me every night after work, like from 8 to 10, because then she has to catch the last bus to where she lives. This house is packed of people as well. But the lady, my Maria, another Mary, Mother Mary, she felt really touched by my mom crying all the time, not being able to be with me. I wasn't breastfed. So she invited my mom to also live there, in the floor. I sleep on the floor. And my mom had to give her whole paycheck to them. And she said there were times that she would get home from work too, and the dinner was gone. Like, whoever arrived first had food. It was that kind of situation. But that was a blessing, because at least we were together. And my mom and I lived with them for 2 years. And then my mom was blessed to have a friend that got her, Regina, got her an opportunity to work in the bank in Brazil. starting very, you know, baby steps in the bank, but she got in, and my mom was driven, you know, like she was probably 20. And one thing that she has, and I inherited from her, is that thirst, you know, like not afraid to work, not afraid to show up and do things when it has to get to done. So I know that she escalated really fast in the bank. Not really fast, but like our financial situation, let's say, started getting better when I was like 13, 14 years old, when we finally got a car. But I got throughout that phase that I had a black and white TV, and then a color TV, a TV, and then with a remote control, and then finally a phone line at home, like very baby steps in acquiring, like savoring the taste of very simple things now in America, you know, but I had the blessing to taste them very, like, even like to have a Coke was once a month in a family pasta thing, you know, like it was not, everything was really counted. But I would say that I only understood that situation between my mom and my dad when I was already 6 or 7 years old, when I were doing a project in class, and the teacher said something for us to talk about our dads, and I'm like, I don't have one. Is your dad dead? They're like, I don't know. No, I don't think so. I just don't have one. And then I go home, ask my mom, and my mom, in her wisdom, just cracks everything how it is. And like, it was, I mean, yeah, it has to be less than 6, because if I met my dad at 6, so I was probably that. Maybe that's what it made me go visit. So I guess that's when we started communicating with him once in a while, and I went to visit him. But at that time, my understanding that he was married, and me going to a school, I went to a all-girl Catholic school from 2 to 17. It was a beautiful experience. The nuns were amazing. I have like so many beautiful memories of this. I feel that sisterhood has always been with me, you know, this understanding how sacred it is to be only with girls. I'm really happy for that life experience. But on the Catholic side, yes, it was really tough because of that, I had this impression, even I had this impression that my mom did something horrible, you know, she had an affair, she's a sinner. And if she's a sinner, I'm a fruit of this sin. And that messed up like for a long time. A very subconscious level, you know, that I was bad. I wasn't the same breed of human that came from a mom and a dad, that the baby was wanted, and they had that perfect family. Even if it was not perfect, they were both there, you know. All those dreams bursted right then and there. And I feel that because of this lack of confidence, I was always constant comparing myself to everyone, and everyone else had a better life than me. Everyone else had more fun, more money, more this, more that. And that always made me feel like, you know, why? Why me? So that part, I feel that I can't say that all these things is not like always is like that, you know, because I also can, the same joy that you see in me was present at 6, 7, 8. I feel that a child is the most beautiful thing, because we can just find ways out to experience joy again, you know. And I feel that I did that very well. That's what made me survive. But I would say that having these impressions, and then later on in my life, I don't know exactly the ages, but I was sexually abused probably until I was 10 years old. I don't know when exactly it started, but yes, from my stepfather, no, step grandfather, my grandmother's second husband, many times, and then two other people, a man and a woman. And it was interesting that all these situations, it happened when I was with my grandmother in different places. But anyway, so, and that was always shut down because my mom, I couldn't tell these things to my mom. My mom was like a bomb all the time, you know, like she could explode. She was always so nervous, so hyperactive, so like busy, working her ass. Unfortunately, I grew up alone a lot. You know, she had to work crazy hours. Sometimes she would work during the nights. There were phases that she would get home at 10 o'clock at night, and we didn't have a phone. I mean, I mean, when we had at this time I already had a phone, but she would tell me like, "Hey, I'm leaving work now," and then I would have to wait and wait, and sometimes she forgot to say that she was gonna go to the market and this and that. So it was like terrifying growing up because I feel that many times I was just completely scared of what if she dies. You know, who am I gonna be with? My grandma was somewhere. My uncle lived in the same building, but we were not that present at that time. Like, or even if it was, like, that's not necessarily how I wanted to live, you know, and my mom. So that sensation that she could, something bad would happen to her always tormented me. And I feel that the sensation of always, that this background noise of something bad is gonna happen, only recently I realized how present it still is. Much lower voice, but I got that it was present. And that's one of the things that is helping me to create this video too. So I feel, and also because I was alone a lot, this fear was so present, and the street that I lived was also like not my street per se, but the street right next door where our bedroom windows would face. It was very messy there and very loud, and parties that would end up with fights, and sometimes you would hear in the middle of the night somebody had a knife, got stabbed, or later, like people would start going to somewhere else, and then you hear the gunshots, like super, super scary. It didn't happen once or twice, it happened quite a few times. So again, a nervous system that is really like on fight or flight since always, you know. And I remember when I moved, I'm just gonna skip to this part because it's important. I feel that this fear just left me when I moved to the United States. When I was 18, I remember like the first month here, observing that I didn't have to be afraid of walking on the street to look like work, you know, like, that was so tremendous for my system. Like I feel that in itself was worth to move here. I have millions of reasons why I'm extremely blessed and happy to be here, but that was the first thing that I can totally say that it changed. I noticed my system changed. But anyway, so the experience in the school and then the comparison, blah, 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 but I had great friends, had fun. At 14, I converted, I became Christian, and then I had an amazing group of friends. We were boys and girls, and that was, I feel that part of my teenagerhood was so beautiful, so blessed. I had the best time with this group, and I felt safe. I think that being in that environment helped me really find that place that our Father would feel. I really put God in that place, and that made me thrive through my teenager years. I would do my things here and there too. Like, it's not like I was, you know, just being a teenager, let's say that. When I was 18, I moved to the United States. Pastor in Florida, Pastor Silaid, helped me open the doors for me in the United States, and I lived with a couple for a month or two, and then I lived with a Canadian lady for like 3 years, which was super special for me too, like a lesson of independency, super special. And I met great people, you know, in that phase, but at that phase I feel that I was still trying, like everything changed at 18, you know. All of a sudden I was building on my own, no longer having to give any explanations for my mom. Like the level of freedom that was available, and especially here in this country, the nightclubs, the difference of reality, it changed so much. And yes, I got curious. I started drinking, smoking cigarettes, partying. Back then, I would drink, but it wasn't so much a thing, you know. I think it became more of a thing later in my life. But definitely was something that was through those years that I hooked that that's what you do, you know, when you're young and when a party. And that phase of my life, I feel that I was extremely on the comparison thing, like as my self-confidence, the type of relationships that I had also didn't help at all. But hey, that's who I was. I would attract whatever I was attracting then, you know. Met some amazing, beautiful people, and great friends that helped me, that I wanted to see me and hear me, and that helped me really to show up. Instead, I had an ex-boyfriend that he used to say that people would arrive over there, like in Miami, it would arrive in their parachute, you know, like nobody would know their story. They could say whatever they want from their past, and we would have to believe, because that's just, everybody's just starting a new life, you know, as an immigrant. And for me, it was quite the opposite. It was the idea of finally letting go of the masks. I was ready, you know, like they were not so, the people around me were not, I mean, even though some were Christians and all, but like I didn't feel the judgment, or at least I was stronger to face the judgment if that was to come. So I started talking about my life. I started talking about the abuses. I started talking about how I came and the reality of my mom, and really understanding that there is no shame, you know, there is no shame for her, there is no shame for me. It's just the way it was. And that's I have the same right and responsibility in this world as anyone else. Everybody comes in the way that they're meant to come, to fulfill the lessons, to live the experiences, and to squeeze the juices that come from these experiences and give back. So in my 20s, I was blessed. Luciene, a friend of mine, gave me a book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. That book changed me. I was like, I want to play this. I want to experiment. And I saw the results kind of immediately. My self-confidence boosted. My job at a time, I start making sales and making money, and like things were working, you know, and the crowd, everything started changing, you know. And then in 2000 I left the company that I started dating Daniel. We were friends already for 3 years before that, best friends. And then we had some challenges in our life, you know, with work, with the company that I was working for, and it was my first big deception, you know, like, wow, the world is rough. People are not that nice. People lie. So that hurt me, because that was like not my first job. My first job was taking care of a quadriplegic. I think I shared that in a video already. Craig, it was amazing experience. 2 years of my life taking care of him, and I was a virgin. I never had seen a penis before, and having to take care of him and bathe him in the ways that, you know, you bathe a quadriplegic, but drive a huge minivan, like 18, just had my driver's license, thank God for his trust. And the opportunity too, it was a beautiful opportunity that transformed me very early on, because he was blessed to have a lot of money, and his family as well, and I could see like all that money and not bringing health back for any of his family members that were facing issues. So that gave me a big lesson on putting priorities in order in life. But going back to, and then I had my first job in 97 in a freight forwarding company. I was there for 3 years. And then I worked for another freight forwarding company for another 10 years. My 20s and 30s and 40s, I feel that that's way too much to navigate. And what I really wanted to share right now with you guys was this how this way of being brought up, all the traumas that was stored in the body, and as we grow, how situations manifest themselves to play out the game. That's the best I can say. So I would say that I had faced all sorts of turbulences and conflicts and deceptions, and going through these moments and being aware of how much the response of why is this happening to me, why me, the victimhood, you know, like the resistance to deal with the reality that is showing up, you know, like feeling really hurt by God again, you know, like I thought you already did everything that you had to do, why more? And seeing how that never served me in any way, you know, quite the opposite is another thing that I have to do to be in peace, and then actually have the ability and the tools and the clarity to deal with whatever is presented. But observing that throughout my life, how this pattern of one, thinking that something bad was always going to happen, like it's very subtle, but we're like, oh, it's here again, and it's here again. And observing how this plays out on a more healthier lifestyle, which I live right now. But how does it play out nowadays? You know, what can I do to totally put this to rest and understand that I do have the tools that I need to overcome anything that comes up? Because I do have the understanding that even though I went through A, B, C, D, and E, I always, through the grace of God, through the guidance of the Spirit, found a way, not only out, but a way that made me stronger, a way that made me hopeful, made me see the gift and move on, not feeling the hurt, not feeling the pain of these situations. The fact that shit happens is just a fact. And more we know that is how we address it, how we show up, how we perceive it, the meaning we give to it is what really makes the outcome, how you're going to deal with, you know. And it takes a lot of observation and contemplation for you to see your automatic responses to your day-to-day life. You know, I spend a lot of time in contemplating. I feel that I've always done, but nowadays it's just such a natural process that happens for me, and the clarity just comes as I sit and contemplate. One, that all of us have the capacity within us to overcome our situations, our traumas, our pain, whatever that is. It's the way that we are looking at it, the story that we keep telling about it. That's it. If there is parts of you that are still trying to feel seen, feel heard, feel how to square that situation out to be fair, otherwise you're going to bring that resentment or that armor in your heart, because it might happen again. It might change the person, but it happen again. that closes, that puts, you know, armors in our heart. When we are able to really grab the gifts of the experiences that come along in our lives, and most of them follow always into the same spectrum of bringing you humility, bringing you to God, bringing you to that understanding that you have zero control of your life. And things can change like that in your life and in your family's life. Any situation can change like that. And the sooner you bring that to your day-to-day awareness, immediately you found yourself with more gratitude, more appreciation for what you have present. I love a phrase that says, your current life is the prayer for so many. You know, like when we think that we are going through problems and issues, and we look at, we tend not to see everything that is working, everything. And we're just concerned about this part, this part, this part. Only with this part stabilizes, then I'm gonna feel safe, I'm gonna feel happy, I'm gonna feel relaxed, and I'll be able to enjoy more. I do that all the time. It takes me sometimes a while to notice, but when I see, like, wait, you're tense now because of that? And that's robbing you your current joy? Are you gonna do something about it to change that? Can you do something about it? There's nothing to do. So you start seeing like how the value you give to your present moment has to be in such a refined state that you're able to really, if you have to go to look at your past, at trauma, at situations that needs to be addressed, you go there when you're strong, you go there when you're in peace, you go there when you feel the presence of God. When we go to these places and our foundation is not stable, not necessarily you're going to be able to see the gift because you're not grounded. For me, this process of being grounded, it has to do with a foundation that everything happens in divine time and in divine order. Every single thing happened in divine time and in divine order. Everything has a purpose beyond my capacity to understand. I pray to God to give me capacity and qualification of my mind to understand and perceive situations beyond what my eyes are able to see. That's my prayer. And I feel that I'm blessed to have that awareness when I'm tapped in. When I'm not, rat race. Over and over and over. The oppression, the repetitive thoughts, the sensation in the body, the anguish, you know? And the only, I mean, not the only, but like one of the ways that I feel that I can get out of that is when coming outside, stepping barefoot in nature, breathing, connecting, understanding that the plain air is pure presence of God, understanding just the capacity that I have to be aware of my body, of my heart beating, that I'm breathing without even thinking about it, that my digestion is happening without me thinking about it, that if I'm hungry, there is food to eat, that if I'm thirsty, there is water to drink. I look at my family, I look at what surrounds me, everybody's healthy. I no longer have this dreaming of, you know, always happy, always cheer. No, I understand that I go through waves, just like you, just like my family. Nowadays I understand that not only we go through waves, but sometimes we're going through the wave together, and then like we need space. I see you, I see me. Let's honor each other. It's sometimes understanding that I'm in a good place and I can be nicer. I can give more space for the other person to feel and be. There's no expectation of me on how the other person should be, so I can feel better. That was a big lesson for me. I feel that the more I understand these things and the more I'm tapped in to the present moment, to the awareness that I can bring compassion to my life. I can bring compassion to everyone that I ever touched. I can bring compassion to those that hurt me. I forgive every one of them. And I ask for forgiveness as well for all the people that I hurt, that were not little. This Grazi here that you see now, I know my ego was big at some points. Nasty, authoritarian, arrogant. I think I was a badass in so many ways. Always with a good heart. Every single thing that I learned in my life, from all the thousands of workshops, I always found a way to get back home, get my friends together and share. My heart was always in a place of contribution. And that understanding that what I am now, which now I can see much more clear, has always been here. Understand? You and your beautiful heart have always been there with you. This process of contemplating on our life's journey and getting to know ourselves better has brought me so many gifts, has cleared so many knots, has given me so much freedom to be, Nowadays I feel that I can just be me. I don't need to put a face for you. If I feel like putting makeup, I will put some makeup. If I feel like not, I won't. The content that I carry is my medicine. This is my medicine. My life's journey, the way that I unraveled and fought my demons, this is my biggest contribution. How I fought my battles, which tools I used, what kind of level of compassion, what were the things that I dropped early on so my backpack didn't have to be so heavy. And as I continue to grow, what else am I ready to continue to let go, so my life can be easier, softer, with more fluidity, with more movement, with more simplicity. It has this path of knowing yourself, having compassion towards you, your path, your mistakes, all the people that you hurt, all the people that hurt you, this equation squares out the sooner you realize the gifts that God had for you, instead of being the resistance, the unfairness. Why? I didn't deserve this. I'm a good person. Heck yeah. You don't need to go far to see how much shit happens to good people. It's beyond that. Our grace and the mercy of God goes beyond that. I feel that being a good person, exercising kindness, exercising compassion, empathy for everybody's path, it's our humanity in action. That's what you deserve for yourself. You deserve to be seen, to be heard, to be understood, to feel validated by your emotions, by the situations that happen to your life. You have total right to feel whatever you feel towards whoever it is, good or bad. Understand? You are at where you are at. I don't come here to be like a bubble of love, as some people call me. I have a friend that he used to say that he would burst my bubbles of love. Thank God they are self-generating by the millions. So yeah, I don't necessarily come here for that, even though I love to present myself as a frequency of love, of letting love guide, of showing a path, of taking responsibility, ownership, and sovereignty, and authenticity for who I am. Most important, I come here to share that despite of what happens to us, we are always faced with the choice of opening our hearts and letting love guide us deeper into the sacredness of love of God. It's a choice. As a human, you can do whatever you want. You can hold that feeling, that resentment. It's plausible. You can tell your friends, they're like, yeah, I don't want that person either, blah, blah, blah. Right? The human. What if you're able to understand that nothing happens by accident? That you had to be there, and that person had to be there. And it had to be exactly the way it is. That exactly the way it was. What was said, what was done. What are you going to do with that? What have you learned? What the desperation, that abuse, that neglect, that abandonment made you realize? When you're put in a corner and like the pressure is on, you know, what's gonna come out? Do we really have to wait for things to be that bad so we can ignite the light in us, to ignite what's possible? I hope not. I truly hope not. Because all of us have had our share of problems, of turbulence, of conflict, of disappointments. How we are still presenting them in our reality. What place does these stories have in your reality? For me now, I look at my past and I can read as a book. I can talk about it. I don't have shame around it. There are many things that I did in my life that I'm not proud at all, like a lot. But I learned, especially how to be humble, especially not to judge other people, especially to know that you just don't know what you don't know. You just don't know what circumstances were present that brought people to do what they did. So we can walk in life with more compassion towards each other. If you have to be mad at anyone, be mad at God, if you believe in God. Yeah. Put your worries, your anger, all towards Him. And ask Him, if you can't still see clear what's the gift in your situation, ask Him to guide you. You will be guided. You just have to be present for it, you know? You have to be willing to sit down with yourself and see what needs to be looked. Because there is no need anymore to carry this along. The planet, the earth, the energy is present right now. It's such a beautiful moment to clean, create new understandings. Talk a different story. Write a different story. Make peace with your past. Little by little, go there. Embrace your child, your inner child. You know, with safety, with love. You're a teenager. You're a young adult. All of these aspects of us, all these different phases, went through so many life experiences that here and there might have created a belief system that unconsciously you might be holding on to nowadays, and that's why some things are still showing up. The sooner you're able to understand how things relate, they dissolve, they merge, they unify. Everything is in perfect order. So, yeah, this is where I feel that I want to share today. Thank you for listening. I will come back here more often, and let me know what you think. If you like, please subscribe. I can't believe that I'm saying that. Like, inside of my head, I'm cracking up. Anyhow, yeah, so here I am, Matera to stay. Let love guide you, okay? It's the best way. It's the most. I even wrote here something. Oh yeah, let me see what I wrote before I finish. If it has to be, it's up to me. Oh, what I had written here, it was just for you to spend a moment and realize how powerful love really is. If for a moment, a split second, you can allow your body to perceive and receive the deep understanding in your being that everything is in order. Every single thing that happened to you in this lifetime happened exactly as it had to be. All the people, all the roles, however it was played out, that was your story this time. If you allow that to really take over your body, move with the possibility of just fully trusting and allowing that to flush through your system in love, in understanding, in acceptance, acceptance of your reality, acceptance of your path. You can even smile and see the beauty of certain things that are so clear already. How that made blossom, how that shit fertilized a beautiful flower in your garden. And now you're having hummingbirds and butterflies come to play with you. It's a choice. It's a possibility. And it has been my truth. Love can heal everything. Love can open your heart with new eyes to see, to feel, to hear, to understand, to build clarity, to show up in this world. We need so much more love, so much more kindness. Through your smile, through your eyes, through your understanding of your own life. Through the peace that you will find in your heart, finding acceptance in all of your life. Finding the gifts that made you who you are now. Go in, have fun, feel it. God is guiding you through this process. I trust. And I love you. And I'm with you. Wolf is in the house. Slobats. Honoring my dad and my guides. Blessings. Let love guide.